Okay, we're recording this. This is showing how to use the work schedule. So, so far what we've done is we've had Annalisa fill in column D like David, that she's going to be working on American Airline miles when she's working. Notice at the top of column D it says that she's doing all the new requests that are less than 8 hours old, from 0 to -8 hours old, using American Airline miles. This quoter must be willing to actually phone American Airlines on the phone, and Annalisa is willing to do that. She's going to try and get Etihad and Iberia and other partners. She's already got a special Skype account that lets her call American Airlines from anywhere in the world. And then if she's combining American Airlines one way or part of the trip with any other miles, then that's okay. She can use any other miles to complete a quote, but she's only going to do quotes that have partly American Airline miles being used for at least part of the trip. So if she finds something available on American Airline miles, whether it's all of the trip or part of the trip, she will use American Airlines for all of it or part of it. American Airline miles, they'll be flying on maybe Etihad or Iberia or British Air or something else probably, or maybe American, but using American Airline miles to pay for it. As long as she finds part of it that she can use American Airlines miles for it, she can make a quote for that. But if she can't find any part of it at all that she can use American Airline miles, then she'll skip that one and go on to the next one. She's not going to try Delta or something else unless she can get part of it or all of it on American Airline miles first. And she's normally going to use about $1,000 GP per person on her quotes. And she'll also check all the requotes to see if she can do American Airline miles on any of those. So mainly she's going to be trying to find out if Etihad's available or Iberia's available using American Airline miles. And she'll only send a quote if part of the quote is going to be using American Airline miles. Otherwise, she'll skip it and move on. Okay, now we need somebody. For example, Mar is online here. What's your favorite airline to use, Mar? What do you use the best, easiest, the most?
Probably Delta.
Okay, so you have to look at your clock and find out what time it is in the Philippines right now, because this work schedule uses Philippine time. And I can tell you that right now, if you Google it, you'll find out that in the Philippines, it's roughly 11 o'clock in the morning right now. And so start on, so this first line, I'm going to take away because that's in the past. So right now, it's about 11 o'clock in the morning in the Philippines. So you'd fill this in as 11 a.m., not your local time, Mar. It's always Philippines time. So just Google it and say, what time is it right now in the Philippines? And you'll know the time zone difference. But at the moment, it's 9 o'clock here. It's 11 o'clock in the Philippines, 11 a.m. in the Philippines. All you do is just go 12 hours ahead and then add 2 more hours. And that's the time in the Philippines. So it's 9 o'clock here. It's 11 a.m. tomorrow in the Philippines. And so that's why this says Saturday, June 3rd, because in the Philippines, it's Saturday, June 3rd already. And it's 11 o'clock in the morning already. So that's why you're going to put your name right where it is. So type the first part of your email address. I think it's Margarito A.
Mm-hmm.
So type that in there where you're in that cell that you're in right now. Oh, you're in the Air Canada cell. You need to go over to the Delta one and column G like George. So go over one more column. Yeah, there you are. So you're going to type Margarito A right there, because you're going to work right now on Delta, and you also check Air France also, because Delta.
Can I do Mar instead of Margarito?
No, it has to be the same as your log. Isn't your login Margarito A?
Yeah.
Yeah, use that Margarito A because it has to match your login.
Okay.
Just like in your quotes, you're putting Margarito A in the bottom of your quotes, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So use that here. Just put Margarito A and then hit tab or enter, either one.
Okay.
Okay, so if you're going to start working now, how many hours are you going to work? Starting right now?
Let's see, probably around 3 to 4 hours.
Okay, so copy that Margarito A down for 4 cells so that fills up 4 lines in that same column. Just Control-C to copy it, and then go down and paste it in all 4. There's a quick, easy way to do it. Let me show you. So click out of that right now. Click away from where you are. hit enter or tab or something to get out of that cell. Okay, so point to the cell that you just got out of, or excuse me, click on it, and then point to the corner of it, the lower right-hand corner, and there's a little black square that shows up. So click on Margarito, and now point to the lower right-hand corner of that, and you'll see a little black square show up. Hold that black square with your left mouse and drag it down 3 or 4 lines, and it'll copy it for you. Point to that black square in the lower right-hand corner. Oh, I think you just pasted it. I don't think you dragged it. But anyway.
No, I did drag it.
Oh, you did? Okay, fine. So anyway, that's how you copy down. Either copy the normal way that you're used to, or you can drag it with that little corner. Okay. All right, so this says you're going to work until 4 p.m. Philippine time, which is 4 p.m. It's 2 a.m. your time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not going to work that late, then delete it if you want to just work till midnight.
Yeah, I'll probably work until midnight.
Yeah, so then just delete that bottom one. So you'll have to get used to the fact that Philippine time is it's just the opposite of us plus another 2 hours. I think, if I'm doing that right. Let me just check myself. Hold on, I'll just go see what time it is for sure right now. You just have to get used to that because this is all Philippine time. Because most of our quoters are in the Philippines, so to make it easy for them, that's what we do, is use their time zone. Okay, so let's see. Right now it's 9 p.m. where you are. And let's see what time it is. Pretty sure it's 11 a.m. Which means you add 12 plus 2. Yeah, it's 11 a.m. So just in your mind, so if it says here you're going to work till 2 p.m., that's midnight for you. Mm-hmm. Because you subtract 12 and then another 2. So 2 p.m. for them is midnight for you. You got it?
Yep.
If you're not sure, just Google it to figure it out. But like if it's 9 p.m. where you are, you add 12, so it's like 9 a.m., and then add 2 more hours, so it's 11 a.m. If it's 9 p.m. where you are, you add 12 plus 2, that means it's 11 a.m. on this chart. Right?
So basically they're 14 hours ahead of us.
You got it.
Okay.
Yep, that's it. But the easy way to do it is just say, okay, it's 9 p.m., so I'm thinking 9 a.m., because that's easy, and then add 2 more, so that's 11 a.m. Okay. But your way is the same thing, 14 hours ahead, same thing. So this chart is 14 hours ahead of your time. Mm-hmm. Okay? So this says you're going to work for the next 3 hours, which is until midnight your time. Okay? And you're only going to do Delta and Air France quotes, only.
Okay.
And you're only going to work on the ones that are from 0 to 8 hours old. You guys know how to see how old they are? If you look over here, see this age hour column? And you can click on that column. For example, well, to make it work, first you have to, like I'm going to refresh this and start over. So to make it work, you have to first click on the hourglass to start a search. So I can't just click on the age hour column right now and nothing happens. Oh, did it work? What do you know? It worked. Usually you have to click this search button down here and then click the age hour button for it to work. Some of the columns, that's true. Like maybe in the quotes it works differently than what I'm used to. But anyway, the point is, if it doesn't work by just clicking it, then click this search button first and then click it. And it puts them all in order. So there's the oldest one, 21,000 hours old. If I click it again, it puts them in order backwards, which brings the newest ones to the top. There's the newest to the top. There's the oldest to the top, right? And so here's one that's 5 hours old. So the only 2 that you'd work on are these 2 right here that are less than 8 hours old. You got it, Mar? Yeah. Because if you're the Delta Air France specialist, you're only going to work on the ones that are less than 8 hours old, and you're only going to work on Delta and Air France, okay? So the only 2 that you can work on right now are these 2, okay? Because it has to be less than 8 hours old, and it also has to be that you're using Air France or Delta. So when I go look at this work schedule, you see if I read the top here, the top of column G, it says that you're doing all new requests that are less than 8 hours old, 0 to 8 hours, age hour, using Delta and Air France. So you're going to get good at using the Delta website and the Air France website. So you're going to do both of those quotes and check Delta, and do both of those quotes and check Air France. And don't send a quote that's the exact same miles, but you could, I mean, the exact same flights, but you could send one on Delta that uses flight 203, and you could send one on Air France that's maybe the next day or a different route or a different connection, as long as they're different. And also, you want to try and use at least, what have you been using for your minimum GP most of the time?
400.
Okay, let's increase that to 500 because we want to start raising our GP. So I'm going to put 500 minimum GP on your quotes. So from now on, use at least 500. Okay, if it's not competitive using 500, then just skip it and move on. I mean, once in a while, you can go below 500 if there's a really good reason. You can go to 400 if, you know, it really is necessary to make it competitive. But most of the time, just use 500 or more, okay, with a rare exception. Okay, so right now you know what to do. You go over here and you click on the age hour and you get the newest ones at the top, and you work on these two that are less than 8 hours old, and you only check Delta and you also check Air France. You try and send a Delta quote and you try and send an Air France quote, but not quotes that are the same flights, obviously.
Okay.
What was your question?
Does this apply also for Terry?
For what?
For Terry?
Yes, yes, yes. So you can go to Terry's for, let's see, am I able to change this to Terry and look at his? Let me check. Yeah, so here's Terry's. And Terry's age hour, if we click that, is, he's got a bunch of them here you can work on. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you've got 7 of Terry's you can work on and 2 of mine. So that's 9 that you can work on right now. And you're only going to check Delta and you're only going to check Air France, only those 2. Don't send an Air France one that's the same as what you send in Delta. But if it's different flights or different date or different something, then you can send one of each, right? And use at least 500 GP in all your quotes from now on, with rare exceptions. If there's a real good reason, you can go below 500. You know, you absolutely have to get it to be competitive. Okay, so you have plenty of work to do. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 here. And you've got 2 on mine. So you've got 9 that you can do in the next 2 or 3 hours, right?
Can we do it? Can we send a quote even if already has 6 of them?
Yes, if you're using Delta or Air France, and if it's logical. I mean, if this one here already has a Delta and an Air France, you're not going to do it again.
Obviously, yeah.
And if this one already has 6, and look at all these prices here are, okay, here's some that's 2,500, 2,900. So if they've got one that's 2,500 and one that's 2,900, you're not going to send one that's 5,000. Why would they buy it? Exactly. If there's one here for 2,500, that's good. There's one here for 2,900, that's good. So unless you can come pretty close to those, you're not going to even send a quote at all.
It could be also like the cheapest ones. They have maybe 2 or 3 stops, and the expensive ones, it's only 1 stop or non-stop.
That's true. That would be a good reason to send another one. If this is 2,500 with 3 stops and you've got a non-stop for maybe, 3,500, then of course you'd send it. But you think like the customer. You think, okay, here's one that's 2,500. Let's go see what it is. The itinerary is Sao Paulo to Chicago. And this is already only 1 stop, and it's an hour and a half layover. It's perfect. What's wrong with this? I wouldn't even try and beat this. You're not going to beat this on Delta.
No.
It's if you see something good like this, it's $2,500. It's already quoted. It's already done. He probably didn't use very high GP. Well, he used close to 500, so that's okay. So this one I would skip because it's done already. I mean, if you do a Delta quote that's 3,900 that has 1 stop, why would he buy it when this one's 2,500?
Yeah.
You have to think about it and think, okay, is there some reason why the customer would buy this Delta over the one that Medj already sent. If there's no reason, then just move on. Don't send it. Make a little note, on your tablet on your desk that you already tried that one. Don't try it again. So here, let's see. We're in Terry still. We're searching for new ones. So we just go look at this one. We don't hit new. We hit plus to look at it. And this one's already got a delta, and it's 5,700. And that's compared to a 2,900 something else. So this 5,700 delta, unless it's nonstop, there's really no reason that we should have sent that. He's not going to buy that. Why would he buy that when he can get something from us for 2,900? So you have to look at it and think, well, it's one stop, but it's $5,000. Why would he buy that when there's already a quote in here for 2,900 with one stop?
Well, so this one probably was the first one that they did it.
Yeah, it could be. Maybe they did it before the 2,900.
Yeah.
That's true. That happens. You're right.
Well, it had a number one sequence on the top. I saw it.
Yeah, you can also click the number of quotes, and this will show you all the ones that have only had, this one's only had 2 quotes, and it's only 6 hours old. So obviously you would work on that one.
Well, I found out that actually you cannot trust that number because it doesn't mean that it has 6 quotes.
Oh, that means it's 6 attempts.
Exactly.
Well, actually, this is 2 attempts, and the 6 is the time, the hours.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're right. 2 means that 2 people tried it. It doesn't mean they succeeded. It doesn't mean they sent them. You have to look in here. Oh, both of these people gave up. They both say closed inventory. So you could definitely try this one because this one has a delta, but they said no inventory. Maybe it's changed by now. Maybe there's inventory now because things change. But it's probably not competitive because it's Africa, and usually that's not competitive. So probably this one's a waste of time because.
Well, these ones are both in Africa.
Yeah.
You're not going to find out anything for this guy.
That's right. Yeah. So you can hit this number of quotes, find one that's less than 8 hours old. Here's another one that's 6, but maybe, it doesn't have a Delta or Air France. Remember, you're doing both Delta and Air France. You're trying them both. Every single quote, you're going to try both Delta and Air France. Okay. Because you're signed up to do that. And this work chart is to make it so that nobody else is doing the same thing at the same time. And by the time they're working, there's going to be new quotes that are less than 8 hours old. You see what I mean? And so you're doing all the ones that are less than 8 hours old right now. And hopefully you'll get those 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 of them done before you're done working. Then the next person takes over, and then they just watch for new ones that are less than 8 hours old and work on those, okay? Then we'll have somebody else over here in column K. Look at column K. Column K is for somebody to go and try anything for the ones that are older than 8 hours. So the person in column K can use any kind of miles because they're working on older ones. And they're just going to check and see if there haven't been 6 quotes sent, they're going to try and send, the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th one, right? So column K is for a person who's well-versed in all the different kinds of miles, and they're going to work on all the ones that are older than 8 hours. But they're not just going to use Delta or Air France. They're going to use any kind of miles in column K. So whoever puts their name here in column K, for example, let's say it was me, I would put Donald, my code would be Donald L. If I was a quoter, it would have my last initial. And then I copy this down how many hours I'm going to work. And that means that nobody else can work on the older ones except me using all sorts of different kind of miles. Now, let's say that you've finished all of your possibilities that you can work on and you still want to work some more, then at that point you would start working on any that are older than 8 hours but still only using Delta and Air France. Okay. So if you've finished all the possibilities that are less than 8 hours old, you've done them all, then yes, you can go look at the older ones and see if there's any that don't have 6 quotes yet. But you wouldn't send the quote unless your price is comparative to what's been sent already and your GP is comparative to what's been sent already, and you just found a better connection, or maybe you found a nonstop, or maybe it wasn't available before, now it is. So if you're in this column, you're only going to work on the ones that are less than 8 hours old first. When those are all done, then you can work on the older ones, but only using Delta and Air France miles if your name is in this column. If your name is in column K, then you're the cleanup person. You can work on anything, any kind of miles, but only if it's older than 8 hours. So the person in column K is not going to work on the same thing as you, because you're working on stuff that's less than 8 hours old, and they're working on stuff that's more than 8 hours old. You see what I mean?
Yep.
So they can use any kind of miles if their name is in column K, but they can't work on any new ones. They can only work on the ones that are 8 hours old or older. Okay? And here's column L for a person who likes to do requotes. The person that puts their name in column L, if I put my name here, and I copy it down showing how many hours I'm going to work today, okay? And so I'm going to work up through 9 p.m. Philippine time because I've got my name down to this 9 p.m. Line, okay? I'm going to work from now until 9 p.m. Philippine time. So I have my name on every line. And this says I'm going to do all requotes using any kind of miles or any combinations, any and all ages, new ones, old ones, any kind of requote, new ones, old ones, using any kind of miles. I'm basically a requote specialist. And I'm going to use at least 600 GP. That's what it says right there. So if I put my name here, I'm a requote specialist. If I put my name in column K, then I'm working on absolutely any of the new ones, but only if they're 8 hours old. Column L is only if it says needs requote. Those are only the ones that say needs requote. The ones that say pending quote, that's column K, anything that's older than 8 hours. Column J is for the person who's only going to work on Qantas and Emirates and only the new ones, okay? Column I, they're only going to work on Virgin Atlantic. That's it, nothing else, only Virgin Atlantic and only the new ones. And then column H is going to be Korean Air miles only, nothing else, only Korean Air miles. And not only that, they're only going to work on the ones that are one passenger. If you read the instructions in column H, it says doing all new requests that are less than 8 hours old using Korean Air miles only, and only if it's one passenger. Because we can only use Korean Air miles if it's only one passenger. That's the rule. And this person is going to use at least 800 GP. They're only going to work on the ones that are one passenger, and they're only going to work on the ones that are new, less than 8 hours old, and they're only going to use Korean Air miles. That's it. If their name is in this column, they're only searching the Korean Air Miles website, and that's it, and only for the new quotes that are less than 8 hours. Now, once they've finished all the ones that are 8 hours, then, yes, they can go do older ones, but only using Korean Air Miles still, okay? If we look at column F like Frank, this person is only going to use the Air Canada and the United Airlines website. That's it. Only Air Canada miles and United miles. And since United and Air Canada very often have the same flights, that person's going to have to be careful not to send two different quotes with the same flights. You can't send one using Air Canada for those flights and another one using United for the very same flights. There's no reason. It's the same flights. So they would decide, is it better to use Air Canada? Is it better to use United? They'd check them both, and they'd send the one that comes out to be the best price. They would use at least 500 GP or more, because that's what this column says. And they would send one on Air Canada, and then maybe United's a different date or different flights, and they'd send one on United, okay? And maybe they'd also send a first class as well as a business class. They might send a first class on Air Canada and a business class on United, and maybe a first class on United. As long as all three of those are different class or different flights, something's different about it, so it's logical to send another quote. But if there's already 6 quotes, they wouldn't send another one unless it's logical, unless it's price competitive, GP competitive, logical, something the customer might consider buying instead of the other 5 quotes that are in there, okay? Then column E is the person who's only going to be on the Singapore Air website. That's it. Only Singapore Air, only the new requests that are less than 8 hours old for both Donald and for Terry. So to find those, they would go over here and go into Terry's or Donald's. If they're doing Terry's, they'd click on this age hour thing, and they'd find the ones. Do I need to refresh to get it to work? Maybe I have to hit this button to get it to work now. I think it's not doing anything. I might need to refresh. Let's try it. Okay, so let me try it without hitting the button. It worked. Because there's the oldest ones. hit it again. Here's the newest ones, 6, 6, 7, 7, 7, 8, 8. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that I can work on, but I'm only going to go to the Singapore Air website if that's the column where my name is, and I'm only going to work on the new ones. And the reason for that is so that nobody else is doing the same thing at the same time. Okay, that's the reason for this work chart, so that you don't have two people on the Singapore Air website at the same time working on the same quote. So
I have a question.
Yeah.
What if somebody puts their name on it, but they're not actually working on anything?
You mean like they didn't show up for work that day?
Well, I assume when you start working, the first thing you do is come to this chart, right?
Yes, and make sure your name's there, and that make sure.
Is it going to be different every day?
Well, you can put your name ahead for up to a week ahead if you know when you're going to work.
Oh, okay.
So that your name's already there. Like you could go to tomorrow if you know you're going to work at the same time tomorrow. Mm-hmm. You could put, let's say you're going to work the same hours tomorrow. You can copy this, go down to tomorrow starting at 11 a.m. Philippine time, let's say, and go over here to the Delta column, which is right here, and put your name in here for tomorrow. And you can go up to a week ahead.
Okay.
Okay. Are you going to work?
Change to another airline?
Yeah.
Probably in the future.
Yeah, you can change to another airline every day if you want. Just if you don't want to work on Delta tomorrow, maybe tomorrow you'd rather work on Singapore Air, then you're going to put your name over here on Singapore Air tomorrow.
Okay.
See, this column is Singapore Air. I think I'll make some of these columns. I guess not. You can just move it up and see what it's. I thought about making them a different color so that it's easier to see, but probably not. So tomorrow, do you know what you're going to work on or what time yet?
Yeah.
What time and what airline?
I'll probably work from 12 to 10 or something like that.
Their time?
Uh-huh.
Oh, on Saturday. So that'd be, are you talking about 12 your time or on the chart?
No, 12 my time, which probably
would be 2 p.m. there.
See, 1 p.m. over there.
2 hours would be 2 p.m. So are you talking about 12 noon your time?
Uh-huh.
Until when?
Until 9 p.m.
Okay, so 12 plus 2 is 14. So it's going to be
2 p.m.
2 p.m. their time, or 2 a.m. their time. 12 noon your time is 2 a.m. their time.
Okay.
So, because remember, you got to add 12 hours. So if I go to 12 noon and tomorrow's Saturday where you are, so that's Sunday in the Philippines. So it's going to be 2 a.m. right here. What airline are you going to work on?
I'll do Delta also.
Okay, let's see. So we're going to put Margarito A right here. Did I not copy it? Let's see. Guess I didn't copy it. So this is going to be Margarito A right here. Okay. So if I put 2 a.m. here, that means that's, if I subtract 14 hours, that's noon your time. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Yes.
And how many hours are you going to work? Till what time?
9 hours until 9 o'clock.
Okay, so 2 and 9, they're going to make it down here till 11 a.m. Philippine time. Okay? So be careful not to get it backwards. So noon your time, you add 12, that makes it midnight. Add 2 more, that makes it 2 in the morning in the Philippines. You got it?
Got it.
So noon plus 14 hours is 2 in the morning. And that means it's Sunday, right?
Yeah.
So do you see where I put you? 2 a.m. their time until midnight their time. Or was that too long? I said till 9 p.m. So this should take away 1 till 11 p.m. their time. So you're going to work from noon. So this should be 9 lines. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, see, that's 9 lines. That's 9 hours. So you got Delta reserve from 2 a.m. to midnight to noon their time, which for you is noon to 9 p.m. You got it?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got your time filled in for tomorrow. So nobody else is going to work on Delta and Air France while you're working on it. Okay?
Sounds good.
Now, obviously, there's some that are already in there from before we started this policy. That's why you got to make sure you're not redoing something that's already done, right?
Yeah.
Just like always. And then somebody else, and then once you get done with all the ones that are less than 8 hours old, then yes, you can then work on older ones, but somebody else is also going to be working on the older ones, this person right here in column K. Okay, so you got to be careful. But most of the time, you're not going to be able to work on older ones because the new ones will keep you busy. You're supposed to do all the ones that are less than 8 hours old first. And nobody else can be working on the ones that are less than 8 hours old while you're doing it. Because yours is the only name here. You got it? Okay, so you understand everything, Margarito?
Yes, I do.
So you just put your name on this chart and copy down your name, how many hours you're going to work. So you got your name there. And so tonight you're only going to be on the Delta website and the Air France website and nothing else. And you're only going to be working on the new ones that are less than 8 hours old and nothing else, right?
Sounds good.
And let's say you find Delta in one direction, but you don't have a return. Then, yes, you can go use Air Canada or, anything else for the other part. So as long as part of the reservation is available on Delta, you can go use whatever kind of miles you want to finish it up.
Okay.
So as long as you got a piece of it, either the outbound or the return on Delta or Air France or one of their partners, you could be using Delta miles and they could be flying on like Virgin or one of their partners. That's okay as long as you're using Delta miles. As long as you're using Delta miles for part of the trip, you can finish up the trip and get what you need by either using any other kind of miles, Air Canada or anything else, or if you have to, you can even get a cash flight from Matrix. And if you get a cash flight from Matrix and you're not even using miles for that part of it, that's when it goes in here where you click to expand on the award calculator. And you put in the cities and you put in the cash price, and that gets added into the ticket. So we're using partly miles and partly money to get a ticket for them. This one, United is the outbound, American Miles is the return, and we have a couple of cash flights in here just as an example, and it all adds it up. And you're going to use at least 500 GP on yours from now on. So that would be a $5,900 ticket in this example. Okay, so you got it?
Yep.
Okay, so Ike or Donna Lynn, who's next? Let's get you to fill in the chart. So Ike, what airline do you want to specialize in right now? Now you can change airlines. You can sign up for a different airline tomorrow. You can sign up for a different airline, but not two at once. So let's say right now you're going to do some work, Ike. How late are you going to work? How many hours are you going to start working right now?
Probably do about 6 hours.
Okay. So what airline would you like to specialize in today?
I guess I would try Air Canada.
Okay. So put your name right here in column F on line 2 and use your whole login, like Ike, Craig, whatever it is.
Okay.
Your whole thing. Get onto line 2.
Okay.
In column F, like Frank, right?
Yes.
That's the Air Canada one. Column F, like Frank. And line 2. Are you into the spreadsheet yet? Have you opened it up yet?
Yeah, I've already opened it.
Okay. So let's see. I don't see you in the sheet yet. So you went into the work schedule sheet because it doesn't say you're in here yet.
I already opened it.
Okay, yeah, I see you in here now. Okay, so click on column F like Frank. Did you say Air Canada?
Yeah.
Okay, F like Frank, cell line number 2. Do you see it? I'm clicking on it right there. So click on that. Yeah, you got it. Okay, so type your login name, which is the Ike Craig A or whatever it is, the whole thing, and then hit the enter key or tab. Okay, now you know how to copy this. You just point to the corner of that cell, to that black square in the lower right-hand corner, and then drag it down.
Yeah.
So do that for 6 lines. Or you can copy and paste it down for, there you go. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're going to work 6 hours, and you're only going to work on Air Canada and United. Check it on both websites. Check Air Canada, check United. Use whichever one is a better price. Use at least 500 GP on all your quotes. You see the instructions at the top of column F?
Yes. Yes.
Use at least 500 GP on all your quotes. Check it on both Air Canada and United, but don't use any other miles unless you get at least part of it on United or Air Canada. So let's say you get one way on, let's say you get the outbound on Air Canada.
Okay.
And then you can't find anything for the return on Air Canada. Well, then you can use anything you want for the rest. You can use Delta, British Air, whatever you want for the rest. But at least part of the quote has to be on Air Canada, otherwise you don't do it. Okay?
Yes.
Part of it on Air Canada or all of it on Air Canada. So go ahead and copy your name down for 6 lines if you're going to work for 6 hours so that it'll be on here. Okay, now copy all 6 of those lines again and go to tomorrow. Are you going to work tomorrow or Monday, or when are you going to work next?
I'm going to work tomorrow.
Okay, so copy all 6 of those lines and go to the time tomorrow you're going to start. What time are you going to start? 9 in the morning, 10, 11, noon?
I think about 6 in the morning.
Okay, so go to 6 a.m. on Sunday, which is on line, I think it's on line 21, right?
Okay.
And then you're going to paste right there where you see my cursor and paste those 6 lines in there. Are you going to work 6 hours on Sunday?
Yes.
Okay, so put it there. So that's starting at 6 a.m. Sunday, and you're going to work on Air Canada and United only.
Yeah.
Okay, so copy it down for 6 lines or whatever number of hours you're going to work. Point to the corner and drag it down, or you can just copy and paste. Okay, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're going to work 6 hours tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay, starting at 6 a.m. So nobody else is going to work on Air Canada or United from 6 a.m. to noon tomorrow because you've got it reserved, okay?
Yeah.
But you're going to check both Air Canada and United. Check them both. Use both websites. And don't send one from both websites unless there's a reason, like they're different dates or different flights, or one's business and one's first. You know what I mean? You only use both websites if there's a reason. Like on the other website, it had better connections, or it had a better price, or it had first class instead of business class. Some reason why they'd want to see 2 separate quotes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, you're going to check and make sure that somebody else didn't already send the same thing you're sending, right? Okay, so if I'm going to start working now on Air Canada United, first thing I do is I choose either Donald or Terry. You can work on both. And let's say you choose Terry. This one says Terry up here. You click this age hour button, and it shows you all the new ones that are less than 8 hours. This one shows all the old ones, so you click it again, and it brings the new ones to the top. And if it doesn't work, then you click this hourglass to make it start working, and then you hit the age hour button. And this brought the old ones to the top. Now it brought the new ones to the top. Here, and you're only going to work on the ones that are less than 8 hours old. So all these 7s you can work on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. Okay, but this one has 9 attempts already, so probably it's already had the Air Canada done. This one's only had 2, so let's check and see if one of those was Air Canada. Okay, the Air Canada's done, but you can still, she put closed, no inventory. So she gave up, so you can still try it again. But you wouldn't click edit to use hers, you'd click new to do a new one. However, I looked at this one a minute ago. This one's in Africa, it's not competitive, so don't waste your time. Okay, it's from one place in Africa to another place in Africa. It's not competitive, so that's not a good one. So you go over here and check this other one, a plus, and see if it's got an Air Canada or an Air France, and it's got Air France and Delta mixed, so you could still try Air Canada, right?
Yeah.
And this one says sent. Now you also look at these prices and see what's been sent already, 3,500, 4,000. So the best deal he's gotten so far is 3,500. So let's click edit and look at that one and see what that person sent and go to the itinerary. It's 3,500. And if it's only one stop both ways, maybe I don't, oh, it's China Air, which is a crappy airline. So you're going to send another one anyway, because the customer probably doesn't want this one because it's a crappy airline. So this is a perfect reason for you to go ahead and send, let's see, I forgot what it said. I'm going to go ahead and send whatever's not sent already. So we hit this age hour button again and get them back in order. And then which one were we looking at? I forgot. I think it was this John Young one.
Yeah, that's one.
And so this is 3,500, 4,000, and there's no Air Canada yet. Or let's see, yeah, you're working on Air Canada. So there's no Air Canada yet. There's an Air France, so you can skip that. So you can do an Air Canada one on this because it's not done yet. But you're probably not going to send it unless it's about $3,500. Because why would he buy it from you on Air Canada if he's got a perfectly good quote here for $3,500? Well, the reason is this is China Air. It's a crappy airline. So I'm going to ignore that one, and I'm going to say, okay, the best price so far is really about $4,000. So unless I can get an Air Canada or United that I can sell for about $4,000, I'm not going to send it. Okay. So it's got to be somewhere around $39.95, $41.95, something close to this, or there's no reason to send it. Because otherwise he'd buy this one. If I go look at this and see, maybe this is China Airlines again, another crappy one. They don't buy the China Airlines very often. So if that's the best deal, you can ignore that one and send a better one. See, here's another Chinese airline. It's two Chinese airlines. So this one's double crap. So they're not going to buy this. So I would ignore that one. It's okay that that person sent that because who knows, they might buy it, you know. It's okay that they sent it. It's not wrong to send it, but it certainly is wrong to consider that it's a reason to stop sending quotes, if you see what I mean.
Okay.
Because it's two crappy quotes. We want to send a good one. So let's go back here and find this guy again and say, okay, well, what's the best, you know, good one that he's got? This 35 and 4 I'm going to ignore. Here's a United one that's 44. So I got to be careful that I don't send an Air Canada one that's the same as this United one, because those are the same flights sometimes. So if I hit this itinerary info, oh, more crap again, Chinese Air. So that doesn't even count. And when I say crap, you should still send the quotes for Chinese Air. But when you're deciding that, you know, when you're deciding that he already has something good, you don't count the Chinese Air because that's not something good in my opinion. We still send them because, you know, it's the cheapest, but it's not the best. Trying to get this to react to bring them back in order again. For some reason I need to refresh, I guess. Okay, so hit this age hour button again. Hit it twice so it brings the new ones to the top. Come on, Mr. Button. It doesn't seem to be working right now. You see how I had to hit this search button to get it to start working again? Sometimes you have to hit this search button to get it to start working again. So here's this guy again. So we didn't even find a good quote for him yet. All the quotes that were sent so far were crappy Chinese airlines. I don't mean to say that the Chinese airlines are crappy. I just mean they don't sell very well. I'm not trying to say it's a lousy airline. I'm just saying it doesn't sell very well. So that's what I mean by crappy. People just don't tend to buy these Chinese ones. So these lower prices mean nothing. I haven't even found a quote that I think the customer will buy yet. Here's a Singapore one and a Cathay. Now those two, now we're talking. Those are 5-star high-quality airlines. They're both about 4,400, 4,900. So now I'm going to say to myself, if I can get something roughly around 4,500, it's worthwhile to send it. Okay. So now I've established what the competition is. And I know that I've got to get something around 4,500. Otherwise, why would he buy Air Canada when he can buy Cathay Pacific, which is one of the best airlines in the world, for 4,500? So you got to think like the customer. Say, okay, am I going to send a quote I'm going to go look at this one. This one is a high, oops, got Chinese mixed in again. So that one I'm probably not even going to ignore. So now I'm up to the $4,900 one is the best one so far, because this has got Chinese airlines mixed in again. I don't even consider those as a logical reason to stop quoting. You know what I mean? So I haven't even found a quote that I think he'll buy yet. Those are perfectly good quotes to send. They're just not going to buy them. So now I'm up to this Singapore Air one, and it's $49.99. So now I know that if I send a good airline, there's no Chinese airlines mixed in. I'm good to go as long as $49.95 or less probably. See, this is all good airlines. This is 5-star airline. The 5-star airlines, you can Google them. There's only about 5 of them. It's Singapore Air and Cathay Pacific and Etihad. It's all the high quality ones. If you've got a high quality airline for $5,000, okay, let's see if I can send, a halfway decent airline for a little less. So on my piece of paper, I'm going to write down. I'm trying to send something for $5,000 or less using Air Canada or Air France. So now I know what I'm doing. I've done my research. And if I get a quote that's $7,000, I'm not going to send it because he can get 5-star high quality Singapore Air for $5,000. Why would I send something for $7,000? You can't get any better than Singapore Air, and you can't get any better than $49.95. So unless I can come up with something around that same price or less, there's no reason for me to even send a quote. So now on my piece of paper, I know that I'm shooting for $49.95 or less. Another thing I want to do is, go see what Matrix is. This one says that they can buy it for Matrix for $55. Well, for sure, I'm not going to send anything over $55, and for sure, I'm not going to send anything over $49.95 because I can't possibly get anything better than Singapore Air. And so if my price is higher than $49.95, he's already going to buy this one. He's going to buy the best for $49.95. So now what I got to do is I got to find something for less than $49.95 using Air Canada or let's see, you're in the Air Canada or United column. So now I'm going to go to Air Canada United. I'm going to try and find flights that after I put them in the award calculator using at least 500 GP, they come out to $49.95 or less. Otherwise, I skip it and move on, right?
Okay.
So that's what you do. You look at it, think about it like the customer. Does he need another quote? Is there any reason for having another quote? Definitely there's a reason for him to have another quote if I can get a decent airline for less than $5,000, right?
Okay.
If I see a Chinese airline, I'm not even going to send it. He's already had 3 or 4 of those, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to try and find Air Canada or United using maybe something like Thai Airways or, one of their partners, Asiana, Eva Air, one of the airlines that I can find on Air Canada or United website, like Eva Air, Asiana, Lufthansa, Thai Airways. Those are all Air Canada and United partners. You'll find them on the United and the Air Canada. So if I can find any of those, on the Air Canada website, well, anything that Air Canada offers other than Chinese airlines, I'm going to skip those. Customer already got plenty of those. I'm going to find something like Lufthansa, Air Canada, United, Eva Air, Asiana, one of the ones that's on the one of the ones that's on the United or the Air Canada website that I can sell for less than $5,000. That's the quote I'm going to send because I'm thinking like the customer. The customer has no reason to consider anything over $5,000 because he's already got a high quality 5-star Singapore Air quote for $5,000 from us. So he's not going to pay more than that. And he wants to probably pay less than that. So if I can find something for, let's say, $39.95 or $44.95 using Air Canada or United miles, I'm going to do it. So if your name is in this column, remember, right, Craig, you're only working on the new ones that are less than 8 hours old, and you're only using Air Canada or United if your name is in this column. However, if you find Air Canada or United in one direction and you need to complete the trip, then for the rest of the trip, you can use any kind of miles. You can use Delta, Air France, British Air, Cathay, anything you want for the other half of the trip or the other part of the trip that you're missing. but you wouldn't send a quote unless at least part of the miles are either Air Canada or United, because that's your assignment, okay? And nobody else gets to use Air Canada or United miles as their main thing. They can only use them if they already got, you know, the outbound from their own miles, and now they're just using Air Canada or United for the return, or vice versa. You got it? So at least part of the quote has to be on Air Canada or United, or you don't send it. And for Annalisa, at least part of the quote has to be using American Airline miles, or she doesn't send it. And for Margarito, at least part of his quote has to be on Delta or Air France, or he doesn't send it, because that's the column where his name is, okay? So the purpose of this is to make it so that Craig, when you're working on right now, nobody else is going to use Air Canada or United as their main airline. They're only going to use it for the return or to fill in what they're missing. They're not going to go search mainly Air Canada and United like you are. But you're also going to only search the ones that are less than 8 hours old at first. And you're only going to work on Donald and Terry's quotes, and only the new ones at first. And only you are working on the new ones on Air Canada and United during these hours when your name's here. Only you are working on the new ones that are under 8 hours old using Air Canada or United as your main search. You got it?
So yeah, so we can only work for like one airline in a day.
Well, yes, except if you got part of it on Air Canada or United, and you only work on the new ones. But let's say you finished all the new ones. There's no more that are less than 8 hours old, and you've already done them all, and you still want to work some more. Then that's when you would start working on the older ones, but still only Air Canada and United.
Okay. But
Okay.
in other days, I can choose other airlines to work with.
Right. And let's say that that's right. Yeah, like tomorrow you could put your name over here on Virgin, or tomorrow you could put it on Qantas. Okay, and the purpose of this is so that you don't have two people working on Air Canada at the same time. Okay. So you're going to do all of Donald's and all of Terry's that are less than 8 hours old, and you're going to check them all against United. You're going to check them all against Air Canada, and send what you can that's still logical compared to what they've already got, right? Okay.
So is it okay if, for example, I will work for Air Canada from 6 to 12, and then 3 p.m. to 5 on Delta?
Yeah, that's right. So that you can take your name out of here and put it over here, because that's when Margarito's going to stop, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So you could do these 3 hours on Air Canada, and then these 3 hours on Delta and Air France.
Okay.
But still, you're only going to work on the new ones, and only Delta and Air France has to be part of it. And you wouldn't have your name in 2 slots here. You know, you'd move your name, and obviously you wouldn't put your name over here if somebody else's name was there already, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to leave it the way it was, or leave it like I have it here?
I just leave it the way it was.
The way it was, all Air Canada and United. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, if you run out of Air Canada and United, and nobody else is working on Virgin, let's say, then you would take this and move it over to, if nobody else is on Virgin and you want to work on Virgin, then you just put your name here. That means that, okay, during these hours I'm working Virgin only, and nobody else gets to work Virgin for the new ones. They can work Virgin for the old ones, but not the new ones. The new ones less than 8 hours, only you are doing them if your name's there. You got it? So these columns mean that you're the person working on the new ones less than 8 hours. Okay. There's somebody else in column K that's going to be working on all the old ones. Okay. Using any airline. While you're working on the new ones, they're going to be working on the old ones. So like if I put my name here, that means that I'm going to be working on all the older requests older than 8 hours. Because all these people over here are working on the new ones. And if I want something to do and the lines are all filled in, I can put my name over here and I can work on the ones that are older than 8 hours. You see what I mean? That's what this column K is for. And if I want to specialize in requotes, then I can put my name over here in column L, and then I'm only doing requotes and nothing else. I'm, doing all the requotes. Okay, so column L is for requotes. Column K is for old ones of any kind, and then all these other columns are for new ones. So if your name's here, you're only working on the ones that are less than 8 hours old for both Donald and Terry. If you run out of something to do, then take your name off of this and put it over here on, say, Singapore Air, and then try Singapore Air for everything that's less than 8 hours old, right? But you'd only put your name over here if nobody else is there, right? Okay. So whatever you're working on, that's where your name is for the amount of time you want to reserve it. If somebody else comes to work right now and they want to work also, they're going to have to pick Singapore Air or something else. Now, this isn't totally going to be working the first few days because not everybody knows about it. So don't be offended if somebody else is already still working on Air Canada because they don't know the new rules, right? Okay. So we'll just have to hurry up and tell everybody as fast as we can. And I'm recording this right now, so those who are not here live can come and listen to the recording and learn how to do it. So do you have any other questions, Ike?
Can I also put it in advance, like on Monday, I can put my names and which hours I'll work?
Yes, up to a week ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, so like you could just copy this whole thing from Sunday, and you could go down here to Monday, starting what time on Monday?
I would still think about it.
Oh, you haven't decided. So let's say you decided on 6 a.m. You just put it here like this.
Okay.
If you're going to work on Air Canada again. If you're going to work on some other airline, then this one over here is for Korean Air. You see the top column, it says Korean Air up there?
Yes.
Okay, so you just put your name and how many hours you're going to work. You just fill in all the lines for those hours. Okay, any other questions, Ike? Yeah, and yes, you can go up to a week ahead.
I have no questions anymore.
Okay, so Donna Lynn, are you there? Do you want to?
Yeah.
You want to put your name on this chart somewhere? So if you're working right now, how many more hours are you going to work right now, Donna Lynn?
Well, I can work anytime actually. Maybe at night.
Okay.
11 p.m.
So you're not going to work today in the daytime, right?
Well, most of the time I work at night and
okay, that's fine. So what airline do you want to specialize in tonight?
I also like the ACUA.
Okay, that's fine because see, there's nobody's name here yet.
Mm-hmm.
So if we start at 11 p.m., put your name right there where you see my cursor in that column F like Frank on line 14, right? Or are you going to start at 10 o'clock? You're on the 11 o'clock line. Is that when you're going to start?
Yeah.
Okay, so put Donna Lynn, is it B? Put the whole thing there. Yeah. Donna Lynn B.
Yes.
And just type it there and then copy it down for how many hours you're going to work. Type it there and then get out of that cell, hit enter or tab.
Wait. Hold on, where am I? Here, right? 11.
Yeah.
And then,
and then copy it down for how many hours you're going to work. If you can either point to you have to get out of it first and then get back into it. Point to the corner and drag it down, or you can copy and paste it down either way. If you point to, there you go. Point to that corner. And so then you have to stop here because see, she's going to start at 6 a.m. So the farthest you can go is up until 5:59 a.m., right?
Yes.
So that way you'll be doing the Air Canada and United, and check both websites on every reservation that's less than 8 hours old. And you know how to see how old they are, right?
Yeah.
You just click on the column of the age and it brings all the new ones to the top. Where did we go here? Quotes needed. I'm demonstrating it even though you know how because I'm recording this and other people will want to see. So if you click on the age, first of all, this is team owner Donald. And if you click on the age hour button and it doesn't work, then you have to click this hourglass to get it to work. So first I'm going to try it without clicking the hourglass, and it looks like it worked. There's the oldest ones, 21,000 hours. Now if I hit age hour again, it brings the newest ones. So for Donald, there's only 2 you can work on because there's only 2 that are less than 8 hours. Okay. And then besides that, you have to click the plus and see what's done already. And maybe Air Canada's already done. Here's an Air Canada that's already done. And I don't see a United. So you could still try United, but you've got to be careful. Oh, here's a United. It says it was uncompetitive. In fact, you're the one that tried that. So you already tried United. So you have to skip this one, right? And so then we'll go back to see what the other one is and see if you can work on it. And we're going to go to quotes, quotes needed, and then hit the age hour button, bring the new ones to the top. If it doesn't work, then you hit this magnifying glass to activate it, then hit it again. If it still doesn't work, then you hit F5 to refresh your page and try it again. So F5 refresh, there it worked because I hit F5. There's the oldest one, so I'm going to click it again to get the newest ones. And here's one that's 7 hours old, so I'm going to see if I can work on this one. And there's nothing there. The reason that it says, oh, it says 0, so nobody's tried this one yet. So this is one you can definitely work on. And so you'd hit the new button and then you'd work on it. So that's one you'd work on. Then after that, and you'd try both Air Canada and United for that one, but don't send the same flights, 2 different, 2 different quotes of the same flights, obviously. Then when you're done with that, you click this and go to Terry, and then you click the age hour button, and you only do for Donald and Terry, nobody else. And you hit the age hour button and bring the newest ones to the top. And he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are less than 8 hours old that you'll work on also. And the same thing, you look at each one and see if it's logical to work on it.
Mm-hmm.
And make sure that when you look at the prices here, if there's already a perfectly good quote that's, $3,200, you're not going to send another one that's $5,000. Why would they buy it, right? Unless there's a reason. Like if I look at this one and it's Chinese flights, then I can ignore that one. There's a reason to send another one. Here's one that's AF Delta. So there's no Air Canada here yet. So I would try Air Canada on this one, but I wouldn't send it if it's, $5,000. There's already a perfectly decent quote. Well, I don't know. This Delta one's probably Chinese Airlines, so we'd probably ignore that one and say that the best one so far is $41.98. Okay, so unless I've got something around $41.98, unless this is Chinese Airlines, then I wouldn't even bother. If there's a perfectly good quote that's $41.98, unless I can beat it, this is a perfectly good quote. Mexico City to Paris, it's got short layovers, it's only one connection either way. So I know that my goal is to send something the same or less than this. If I can't get something from Air Canada or United that's $41.98 or less, there's no reason to send it. He's already got a perfectly good quote. It's got good airlines. It's not Chinese Airlines. It's got good connections. It's only one stop each way. So I would not send any new quotes to this person unless I can get it for $41.98 or less as the selling price, right? But you probably can. You probably can get it from Air Canada or United for that price or less. So you probably can send 1 or 2 quotes to this person, okay? And so that's how the work schedule works. So again, if you're in this column, it means that you're only going to work on the ones that are 8 hours or less first for both Donald and Terry. You're only going to check Air Canada and United. And if you get part of it on Air Canada or United, then yes, you can use any other kind of miles to finish it up. Or you could even use Matrix to get a cash flight to finish it up if you had to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We can put our name in advance, right? For
yes, for up to a week ahead.
Up to a week, okay.
Yeah, you can put your name a week ahead at a time. So every day you go a week from today and put some more hours in.
Okay.
And let's say you want to work 3 hours on Air Canada and you want to work the other 4 hours on let's say Virgin, then you would put your name over here on those 4 hours for Virgin. So you could have, some hours here in Air Canada, then a different time of day, some other airline. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can do it like that. And the point of this is to do two things. First of all, while you're working on Air Canada and United, nobody else is working on the new ones that are less than 8 hours old using Air Canada and United. So you're not going to be stepping on each other's toes. However, this person over here that's checking the re-quotes and the older quotes, they might be working on Air Canada or United, but they're only doing older ones more than 8 hours or re-quotes. See what I mean? So you're the only person doing the ones that are new, that are United and Air Canada if your name is here. Now let's say that you get completely done and there's nothing else to do. Then you'd find one of these columns that are empty and put your name over here, move your name from here. Let's say you're done and you have nothing else to do. You'd move your name to some other airline and start working on some other airline on the same, the same new ones again, right?
Okay.
And you can also, once you're done with all the new ones, if the new ones are all done, then you can still work on old ones for Air Canada and United also during this time, but only if all the new ones are done. If all the new ones are done and you still need something to do, then you can keep working on Air Canada or United and start working on the older ones. But there's another person over here doing the same thing at that point. They're working on the older ones too. So you have to be careful that you're not doing the same thing, or communicate with that person. You can Skype with this person and say, hey, I'm going to do this one, you do that one, something like that.
Okay.
And if you want to add somebody to your Skype and you don't know what their Skype is, you just go here to, you go to the Skype group and you click on the participants up here and you find their name, and then you just right click on it and put, invite or, add to contacts. If you click on anybody's name up here, you can right click and you can add them to your contacts if they're not already in there, right?
Okay.
If you want Crystal Jane's Skype, you just right click on Crystal Jane and choose send invitation or add contact. And then that way you can compete with them and you can say, hey, I'm doing this one, you do that one, so you're not stepping on each other's toes. But you only have to compete with the person. You only have to talk to the person in column K, because nobody else is allowed to work on Air Canada United if your name's here during this time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can modify this and put your name ahead up to a week ahead all the time.
Oh, week. Okay.
Yeah, up to 7 days ahead. So tomorrow you can do another 7 days ahead, next day and another day ahead, just keep your schedule up on here for a week at a time. Okay. And, your name wouldn't be on line 16 in 2 different airlines, but it's okay to have part of your day, on one airline and part of your day on a different airline. That's fine.
Okay.
So you understand? Any other questions?
No, none so far.
Okay. So just Skype me if you have questions, and we're still working on this chart. So if something doesn't work right, just let me or Terry know. And you know that everybody's willing, or everybody's able to work on both Terry's and Donald's, but only one airline at a time and only the new ones until you get all those done. When all those are done, then either move your name to a different airline or start working on the older ones, either way. Okay? All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.